The old king's wisdom. Before you inherit the throne, before the crown rests upon your head, listen carefully to the words of the old king. Because the throne is not just power, it is responsibility, it is sacrifice. Long ago there was a young prince, strong, ambitious, and hungry for greatness. All his life he dreamed about the throne. He imagined the crown, the power, the respect of the kingdom. But one evening, the old king called him to the palace hall. The room was quiet. The torches burned slowly on the walls. The old king looked at the prince and said, "My son, soon this kingdom will be yours. But before you wear the crown, you must understand what it means." The prince smiled confidently. He believed he was ready. But the old king shook his head slowly. "You think the throne will make you powerful," the king said. "But the truth is, the throne will test you." The prince looked confused. The king continued, "Many men desire the crown, but very few are strong enough to carry its weight." The young prince listened carefully now, and the old king began to share his first lesson. Lesson 1. Humility. The king said, "When you become king, never forget the people. A king who forgets his people will soon lose his kingdom. Respect the farmer who feeds the land. Respect the soldier who protects your borders. Respect the worker who builds your cities. Because a throne built without the people will eventually collapse." The prince nodded slowly. For the first time, he understood that leadership was not about being above others. It was about serving them. Then the old king shared his second lesson. Lesson 2. Power and responsibility. "Power is dangerous," the king said. "It can make a weak man arrogant and a foolish man cruel. But true leaders understand something important. Power is not meant to control people. Power is meant to protect them." The king looked deep into the prince's eyes. "If you ever use power for your ego, you will become a tyrant. But if you use power to help others, you will become a great king." The prince felt the weight of those words. For the first time, the crown no longer felt light. It felt heavy, very heavy. Then the old king spoke again. Lesson 3. Discipline. "A kingdom is not destroyed in one day," the king said. "It is destroyed by small mistakes, repeated every day. A lazy king will lose his kingdom slowly. A careless king will lose the trust of his people. But a disciplined king builds a legacy that lasts generations." The prince lowered his head. He began to realize something important. Being king was not about glory. It was about responsibility. The old king stood up slowly from his throne. He walked toward the young prince, and with a calm voice he said, "Let me tell you the greatest secret of leadership." The prince looked up. The king said, "The throne does not make you great. Your character does." Silence filled the hall. The prince's heart was racing. Everything he believed about power was changing. Then the old king placed his hand on the prince's shoulder. "One day," the king said softly, "the crown will belong to you. But remember this, history does not remember kings for their crowns. It remembers them for their wisdom, for their courage, and for the lives they changed." Years later, the old king passed away, and the young prince finally became king. On the day of his coronation, as the crown touched his head, he remembered the words of the old king, and instead of ruling with pride, he ruled with wisdom. Instead of chasing power, he served his people. And because of that, his kingdom did not just survive, it flourished. And generations later, people still spoke about him, not as the king with the greatest crown, but as the king with the greatest heart. Because true leaders are not remembered for their power, they are remembered for their character. And that was the greatest wisdom of the old king. Before you inherit the throne, before the crown rests upon your head, listen carefully to the words of the old king. Because a throne is not just power, it is responsibility, it is sacrifice. The old king said, "Many men dream of the crown, but very few understand its weight. A king who rules with pride will lose his kingdom to his own ego. Remember this, your people are the true strength of your throne. Gold may shine on the crown, but wisdom must shine in your mind. If you want loyalty, first learn to show respect. Power can command silence, but only wisdom earns trust. A throne built on fear will fall, but a throne built on justice will stand forever. Do not chase greatness. Build it through your actions. A king who listens becomes wise. A king who ignores becomes alone. The crown is not proof of greatness. It is a test of character. Lead with courage, but rule with compassion." And the old king ended with one final truth. When history remembers you, it will not remember the crown on your head. It will remember the heart inside your chest.